Welcome to the Profitable Husband Podcast, where we explore the untold stories of men building empires with their partners. My name's Willow Kai. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, round 2 on My Beautiful Wife. Welcome back to the Profitable Husband Podcast.
Thanks.
You excited to be here?
I am. It's been a while.
It has. And it's actually been an entire season of the podcast at this point. And today I wanted to have you back on to talk about a lie that I feel like I grew up feeling very, very much to my core, in that I had to work harder just to make more. And it was a treadmill cycle that I feel like was instilled in me and so many other people. And today I want to talk about the reality of debunking that and what it actually looked like. So let's get into it.
I'm excited.
So as entrepreneurs, I think that it's very easy to think that to make more, to do more, we just always need to be working hard. Working more never really is even enough. And as you grew your business, I feel like we got into this weird little cycle of me noticing that I have opportunity, I'm gonna build, and in my mind, the only way to do that is to just throw myself into an amount of work that inevitably does lead to some levels of burnout. And at the same time, I was watching you build a business that didn't have that level of burnout. And I was always very both inspired and almost envious of what that looked like, because on the other side of it, you weren't behind a computer screen on Zoom 20, 30, 40 hours a week, and you weren't needing to do the level of emotional processing that happens when you finish those really, really long, intense work days. And I wanted to open up this conversation because I feel like between men and women, between relationships, this is a very, very common thing. And hopefully both of us have some tips, because I feel like we have at this point worked through this in a lot of ways. And being totally transparent, I think that it's also something that we're still working on. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this topic because I do think that it's such a miss, and it's really unfortunate that we are raised to believe that in order to make money, you have to basically just give up your time.
Literally.
And that's the only way. And I feel like people are catching on, and obviously we're in the world of like passive income, and that I think is really the first time that people latched on to this idea that they don't have to work harder, they just can work smarter.
Yes.
And I feel fortunate because I always had that mindset. I mean, the classic, like, oh, what's your dream job? I would be like, well, I don't want a job. Like, I don't want to have a dream job because I literally don't dream about having a job.
Yeah.
I now am so blessed that I can I don't have a job, but I have a career that I've built on my terms. And I went into it acknowledging what I like, what I don't like, and I don't want to have to work long hours. It's almost this like lazy route where it's like, how do I make money? How do I fulfill my dreams and build my dream lifestyle? But be like lazy. Like, I don't want to work my ass off, and I don't think that you should have to in order to make money.
I feel like and I even said, yeah, just now agreeing with you, because I
looked at you, I was like, you don't agree with that.
I feel like at the beginning, when I think about it, I completely agree. The word lazy comes to mind. But in reality, if it's successful, I think lazy isn't the right word to describe it anymore. And in actuality, it's efficiency.
Yeah.
It's literally learning how to work smarter and not harder.
Well, I think lazy has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I would say that I'm lazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like the laziest millionaire I've ever met.
I'm also incredibly chaotic and busy, and I'll fill my time and we'll travel and we'll do all the things. But also, I have times in my life, and pretty much on a monthly basis. And as a woman, I'm sure you can assume during the month when that is. But I have trained myself to not have guilt around being like rot days
around turning off.
My absolute favorite, and being lazy. And I feel like we do live in a society where being lazy is like frowned upon, and like, oh, you're so lazy, get your ass up and work.
Yeah.
Like, I literally have heard that so many times. And I feel like rot days and taking care of yourself and laying down like horizontal on your freaking phone all day if you want to. If you want to watch reality TV in bed, literally DoorDash your eat 3 meals a day, have a full rot day. Like there's nothing wrong with that as long as you are, on the contrary, building a life that you're actually proud of. Because obviously you don't want to do it always.
Right.
But if you can create a business that makes you money and you get to have that occasionally.
It's like the ultimate level of freedom.
To me, it's my dream life.
Why do you think that men and women view that so differently? Because I even place it of that, like when you have this infamous rot day, what am I doing?
Literally everything but sitting in bed. Leaf blowing. I'll see a ladder out like the peripheral of my view at the window. Like literally everything but resting. And I feel like even days that I rest and I am more like lazy and kind of like taking care of myself, I feel like it does trigger you to be opposite of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and then you're
like
almost
mega proactive state.
Yeah. And then a little like, well, what are you even doing with your day?
I actually agree with that. And it's something that when I think about it, it's funny because I totally can place myself into coming into the bedroom and I'm like all hot and sweaty. I've been doing something. I'm like, oh, are you just going to be sitting in bed all day today? And I throw this little sassy remark towards you. But it's so funny because I feel like I am wired to have such a harder time to take that full day. Like I take plenty of time to rest, an hour here, hour there, where I am laying down, doing whatever is relaxing at that time. But I do have a really hard time allowing myself to take a day, more than just an hour. Maybe even if I get caught in a freaking doom scroll, it'll become like 3 hours. But to give yourself the day.
Yeah.
To just chill. And I feel like one of the big differences, though, that I will call out in that when I'm chilling, I'm not being proactive.
I was literally just going to say, because you said
have
lazy.
The superpower of doing both.
Yeah. Like if I have a rot day, it actually means I'm having a computer day. Like my rot days do look like admin days. Like yep. I have my TV show like taking up 30% of my screen and I'm laying sideways and I'm like typing and like looking at my emails,
to get your level.
Like I'm fully checking everything I need to. And so I'm extremely efficient. And it's funny because obviously I teach primarily women. And I know a lot of women that love their rot days and love to be able to work from their laptop and kind of have that like, what do you need to do today? Get it done vibe. But like, you're not like pressured to like do what you think you need to do. Like you can lay on the couch and have your feet up and working on your laptop and make money.
Yep.
And to be honest, the women that I know that do that make so much more money than their husbands. And their husbands are the ones that are like, literally, how often do you have blisters on your feet? Like not trying to call you out, but like you as my husband, how often do you have blisters on your feet because you're on your feet all the time? I'm sure that's such a normal thing. And it's like that I think is the epitome of men thinking that they have to work so freaking hard.
You just have to work harder.
Right. But then actually I don't think that it pays off.
Yeah. Well,
and you're burnt out.
Yes. And I think that there's actually something really big in that learning that the money and the success commonly doesn't come from harder work. It comes from finding more value in what your work does. And I think that that's something so beautiful about even just like this conversation of that you can be in bed. And I think a lot of women are like this, where you can be in bed or you could be on the couch, you're watching TV and resting, but you're also being really productive. Yeah. I don't know why, but as a guy, I feel like it's more black and white. It's either like being productive or it's being off. And I'm actually curious when you think about that. If you think about all of the couples that we know, the guy is commonly out of the house working a lot. They're out doing something almost all the time. And then when they're home, it's actually more so like this, like relax, let me like watch sports or do something that's completely off. Why do you think that women have such a better time doing, or an easier time doing multiple things at once? Do you think that that's just inherent?
Yes. I mean, if you look at historically, men have had the jobs that go out and they have a job that they probably don't actually love. And so they are literally historically wired to come off 6 o'clock. They've been working all day. Now they just need a beer and they're going to sit on the couch and watch sports all day. It's like talk about like work-life balance, like they actually try and separate out work and they clock off and then they're done.
Yeah.
I actually don't believe in balance.
Yeah.
I think it's full integration.
Yep.
And I feel like women literally are the best multitaskers
Yeah.
because if you're taking care of kids and you're cooking, you're doing this, and like obviously I'm talking about historically, but now I feel like women in careers and building businesses still multitask better
100%.
than men. And I feel like because of that we've just been like, we've almost just embodied as women. I think that we can integrate and we don't need like work-life balance. It's literally like, how do you create your life to just consistently be what you want? So you might be able to, you know, be watching a show and you're cooking and you're about to like go do this and go pick up your kids and you're working on your laptop and like doing some work, where I feel like that is the woman's like power, like super strength, that I think personally, in my opinion, that's why we're kind of in this like paradigm shift a little of women rising up and being able to just honestly handle more. Like, and I really don't mean this, like I love men. I'm not a hater of men. This is not at all like oh, women are so much better. I just think that it obviously, like, we are different. I look at me and you and we're so different and we have our strengths, but I feel like when you can admit and accept where your strengths actually are and then lean into it, then you will just ultimately be more successful. And I do think that in the past, women have not been able to do and really lean into the ability, like their strengths and ability that we can fucking juggle a lot and we can multitask and we can hold a lot emotionally. And I feel like we've lived in a world where like men are like more physically strong, so then they should just be the ones that are leading. But I literally wrote out a video that I wanted to film the other day and I was like, is this too harsh? And it was literally talking about how I don't feel like men should lead and that women are like the next leaders and should be the leaders of like everything, because I genuinely believe that women can just hold so much more and are so much more intuitive and like emotionally mature a lot of the time.
I think that when you said the word balance, when it's about balance, and I think that to zoom in on that, I think it's actually great to bring everyone who's listening up to speed of contextually in our story, how this unfolded, especially around the word balance. So for everyone who's listening,
I feel like balance is
bullshit.
Key. No, I disagree. Are we gonna have a fight here?
We're gonna start fighting
disagree.
Because I feel like I actually look at it is that balance is key, and that you, maybe even you as a woman, found balance a lot quicker than I did.
I disagree, because I feel like if you need balance, what you're actually doing, you aren't like fully committed and integrated and fulfilled in it. If you have balance, it means that you have to clock out or you have to escape or you have to have this in order to sustain this, because it's not actually something that's so like, I feel like let's say if you create a life of balance and you need to set this time for work, and then your work-life balance is like by nighttime you need to be clocked off, you don't want to think about it, you need your bath, you need your book, and you need to be completely done, and then your weekend is this, and that gives you work-life balance. I think that you're so structured that you're not actually that obsessed, and you're like genuinely creating a clock off, clock on dynamic for yourself. But if you can weave in and out, that's going to give you time freedom, because you're not going to be so structured. You're not going to be so like refined to, well, that's my work time. You just created yourself a job. If you don't have work-life balance, but you have true life integration, then, and you truly love what you do, then you could, take off all morning and you go do this, but you'll check your phone, you'll do this and that, and then you'll go here and whatever. And maybe I even say that as like not everyone operates the same way. So that is the way, like I'll give that nuance. Like that's the way that I work because I can weave in and out. And I also do think while you're working, it's good to be structured and time block and this and that. But I do just feel like from a life consensus, like if you have to have work-life balance, then you aren't fully integrated into what you're doing.
I'm trying to place myself in how if I agree or disagree with that, because I think about the work that I do with my clients, with you, with just everything. And I think that I love what I do. And I also really value there being clock off time, meaning that I'm done. And I think that I challenge you to think about, do you believe that if someone has those kind of stricter boundaries of, okay, I'm off now, like even right now, we are doing this presently, my phone's on airplane mode, I'm not even looking at Slack for at least the next 3 hours, and I can promise you that the second we're done filming this, you'll be back on Slack.
Yeah.
Do you believe that people that want that harder black and white clock off, I'm done now, I'll get back to it tomorrow, or however that looks, do you feel like that isn't being as content or happy with what you're doing, or there can be nuance?
I think, of course, there's nuance, and what success looks like for me is not going to be what other people want, and how people actually want their life to look like is up to them and what works for them. But I do think that no matter what, there's a difference of if you're creating yourself a job or a career or like a lifelong legacy.
Yes. So back
because
to our
when
story,
you're clocking off from your job.
Right.
Which I think that we're in a different phase where we've had it even differently.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I have a job. I have a responsibility, and it feels like it is my like legacy. Yeah. So I will never turn it off. I never have and that's a choice.
Yeah.
No one's telling me that. That's not a pressure that I feel from anyone else but myself, because I truly love it. And I feel like it is so a part of who I am and what I'm doing, and the actual help that I even provide for my students, that like I am so obsessed with what I do that it is so integrated into my life. It's like who I am. I eat, sleep, breathe it all the time. So I have fully integrated my work into my life.
Right.
Is that for everyone? Absolutely not. Should it be for everyone? Probably not. Right. It's like, it's always different, but it's based on like how you actually want it to look, what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. So going back to our story, because I think that contextually it's very helpful. So especially even around the idea of building yourself a job, because when we started our entrepreneurial journey, I had no intention of building myself a job, but in reality, it is exactly what I built. I even took a lot of inspiration from therapists and lawyers who had a very similar schedule as I did, where if you fill your calendar with high ticket calls, great. And then if you can fill your demand, or you can generate demand, and you can literally just book your entire schedule with those high ticket calls, essentially you succeeded. So in 2020, my business was taking off doing coaching and consulting, and I got to the point of doing a ridiculous amount of coaching.
It was insane.
To the point where it felt like a job. I was clocking on in the morning, and it was a solid back-to-back 3 or 4 hours of calls. Then I'd have lunch, and then it would be a solid 2, 3, 4 hours of more calls, then the feedback and sending, responses to people, then trying to do some stories.
I literally think back about this time, like this is the best description of who me and you are to our freaking core, because we had offices right next to each other. We had this like long, weird hospital-like hallway with bedrooms on the side. So we had our offices across from each other. You would go in, you'd shut your door, and I'm like, all right, bye, see you in 8 hours. And you were just like back to back to back to back to back, taking yourself so seriously. Like you were like, I need to get on all my calls. I have Zooms, whatever. I'm in mine. I had like little lights that I bought off, like, I don't even think TikTok Shop was a thing back then. Amazon, that had like colored purple lights. I'm listening to like music. I'm like making TikToks, and then I'm sitting there probably like watching my TikToks like 45 times, like laughing, like so amused at myself. That was the difference.
But hold on, to bring it full circle though, the end.
We still would do that.
Yes, but also to bring it full circle, I would walk out of my office after that day. I'm all caffeinated, freaking like all these beverages on my desk because I've just been sitting there.
Yeah. Burnt out.
Very burnt out, and actually very envious of what your day had been.
Well, yeah, because it was so fun.
Had more fun, maybe, and made more.
For sure.
Doing, in my opinion, less.
For sure.
So
you'd be like, what did you do today? I was like, well, I went on a walk. And then I watched, Real Housewives, and then I made some TikToks. Can I show you my TikToks? And I'd make you watch my TikToks. And then like that, still.
Literally. Still. So that was like the equivalent of Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was incrementally raising my prices. So I felt good about myself because if I could raise it to that, then it's like a freaking chain reaction, right? But I knew that this wasn't sustainable for me. And I knew at that point, I literally built myself a job. And I felt really proud of myself at the time because it was a really high paying job that made me feel really good. And even bigger than that, gave clients results that made me feel really proud of.
Yeah.
But I realized that unless I took my prices to a point of being almost predatory, it wasn't going to work out like that. And I either needed to switch things up or find a way to work smarter and not harder.
Yeah.
And so I feel like at that point...
Before you move on, though, can you explain what you mean by predatory prices? Because I feel like if you say that, you have to give context.
That's like the clickbait that they'd be like, whoa, wait a minute.
I mean, people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You have to give context.
Okay, so I feel personally like there is a pricing structure, and it's largely based off of who you're selling to. For me and most of my career, it has been helping people that are in anywhere from making $3K a month up to like 30 to 50K a month. And because of that range of what their income level is, I am able to calculate what my price of a package that I could sell them is. It's also largely based off of a bunch of other variables, like the skills that I'm bringing, the services I'm going to be bringing, etc. But overall, there is a pricing structure that if you're selling somebody that is making 3K a coaching offer, and you're selling somebody that makes 30K a coaching offer, they're going to be really different numbers. And I think that if you were to give the number that's going to the 30K person to the person that's making 3, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be great, you're going to be doing X, Y, and Z, your whole business is going to be booked out, and you give them a number that is beyond what is maybe, I feel like this is weird because I'm going to almost contradict myself, but it's like, if you give them a number that is beyond what is a smart decision, and you know that as the coach, I believe that becomes a little bit predatory in that you're giving offers to people that could, yes, help them. I'm confident in that, but also could completely tank their business because of how expensive it is. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Or would you describe it in a different way?
I think I followed. I mean, I think that there's many different levels of predatory pricing in our
I've been
space.
pitched offers that I have been like, wow, I really respect that person. I've watched them for years. There's even somebody specific, I'm not going to bring up his name, but somebody specific that I have thought that I've wanted to work with probably for like 6-7 years now. I've been that worst client where I've been like, hey, I think I'm ready. And then I like get the app and I'm like, wait a minute. And then, hey, I think I'm ready at a different time a year later. And then wait a minute. And I have been pitched offers that I am like, I see the value, but I just don't think for what you're offering that this feels right.
Well,
at least just for me. And it can feel right for other people. But to me, it has come across as being like, this feels predatory. And the reason why I would use that word is because I feel like I've been given that price only based off of the information I have shared.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what you said, though, that wasn't. Yeah. But I see what you're saying. And I agree. I also think that there's this whole other side, though, of people who get on calls and pitch pricing based on also what they make and having it be
a fluctuating price.
Because I think that is not actually being rooted in service of figuring out what your value is and what is your time worth? What are you actually worth? Like, you as a person, you're not going to actually be that much more worth it. And people will argue with this, and that's totally okay. But in my opinion, if I'm going to help someone, I have my standard of who I feel like I can actually have the biggest impact on. That's who I'll choose to work with. But here's my value. And I won't get on a call and be like, oh, this person, let me come up with a price now. And I feel like, I mean, I've talked a lot about this for my web designers because I always recommend them having their pricing on their applications right from the start. The last thing you want to do is get on a sales call and literally come up with a price based on what they say.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you're rich. Well, yeah, my pricing is actually this. And the amount of times I've seen people do that,
Yep.
they're like, yeah, I charged, $35,000 to this person. And then someone else is in the same fucking program for $10K.
Yeah.
I think that's predatory. And that's the most classic online space bullshit I've ever seen.
I agree. And I also want to just quickly denounce that this specifically, in my opinion, is talking about just coaching and consulting.
Yeah.
Specifically in how I look at this without deliverables attached other than your time. Because I think that once you start talking about a website, this and that, there is, in my opinion, more nuance to the scope being bigger.
Right. The scope, the deliverables changing, that deserves higher pricing.
Yep.
The deliverables being the exact same,
Yeah.
but the client being able to make more money should
Yeah.
not change it. If you want to make more money off the client, you give them a rev share option.
I agree.
I don't think you should just charge more, because also that client that you think will make more money also
You could be wrong.
Could not.
100%.
And then you just charge them more than someone else just paid.
100%. But when we dig in specifically on people that are just coaching and consulting, like how I was and like how I continue to,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the idea of coming up with what is your value of, let's just be, simple.
Mm-hmm.
What's an hour of your time worth?
I mean, $1,500 minimum.
Okay. But then other people.
But I don't charge for hours of my time. I have not charged for an hour of my time in almost 5 years.
Mhm.
Someone has not paid for my hourly time because I figured out I'm valuable to people, but I'm not valuable in a 1 hour container. I am not valuable getting on Zoom
Yep.
and having chit chats and getting to know who you are in 1 hour and then being done.
Yeah.
So I will never charge, for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not good for other people. If you
Yep.
have that skill, that's amazing. But for me, I cannot get on in an hour and feel like I can actually make the impact that I want to make.
Yeah.
So I didn't go that route.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one's going to pay for my time because I don't want them paying for my time.
Yeah.
The people, especially my students who I serve, they don't have $1,500 to pay for 60 minutes of my time.
Right.
That is bullshit. And I
Right.
would be like, it's probably not best for you.
Yep.
So I then packaged how can I actually create the most value for my people
Yeah.
and package it to where they do pay $1,500, but they don't get 60 minutes of my time.
It's a life-changing
literally
transformation.
hours and hours and hours of my actual physical talking time and literally months of my time actually putting in resources for them.
Yep.
And then it's a way bigger impact to so many people.
Yep.
They paid $1,500, but they didn't get 60 minutes of my time.
Right.
They got probably 6 months to a year of my time
Yeah.
packaged into something that was really, really refined. So that's the route that I went. And
Yeah.
I feel like that has been the most impactful because truly you have to offer what actually make it. You have to look at yourself of not just how valuable you are on a monetary level. How do you actually bring value to people?
Yeah.
If you are in service and you are providing an actual service and changing people's lives, not everyone is going to deliver it the same way, which I feel like is how the online space kind of coaching world goes wrong.
Yeah.
Is that they'll hire someone and they'll just mimic their business model.
Yeah.
And that's why because you could say, well, Becca, you teach people how to become web designers and mimic your business model. I have multiple different paths. They get to
Multiple
literally
models.
choose which one works for them because I know that doing custom long 14-week packages for clients
Yeah.
does not work for someone.
Yep.
Doing a website in a day
Yep.
might not work for them. Having an entire template shop and going that more e-commerce sales route might not work for them.
Yep.
So you figure out which one works for you. But I feel like we live in a kind of online space bubble where there's it's black and it's white and which one do you fit in and you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't honor actually how you best serve,
Yep.
how you best want to live your life, how also you want to spend your time. Do you want to be on Zoom? I literally say, I don't Zoom.
So here's how we differ though, because I am in so many ways the exact opposite. And I think
Yeah.
that's actually really cool because I
Totally.
think that people listening, it's not very common that you're going to be talking with your spouse or talking with your business partner or anything and be like, we're literally the same. If you find that, I think maybe you have a golden ticket in some ways, but
No, I
also maybe bigger challenges
Business
as well.
partners should never, ever be the same.
Because I look at it as that from my experience packaging my time and all of these valuable assets and things like that into this one program, I've actually had a harder time conveying that value than showing up on a Zoom call for typically 90 minutes and delivering a life-changing call and life-changing advice or a strategy or whatever we're going over, and then being done. Or then maybe starting a coaching program or something to help continuing to give advice. But I actually believe that my skill lies very differently, almost oppositely, in showing up for a client so intensely on this call so that they're able to leave, ideally with like more than a 10x ROI on the investment of that call. And so for me, I have tried to raise my price of this 90-minute intensive more and more and more because my value, I believe, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the transformation I'm able to give is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're able to talk about and plan out a campaign that is a 6-figure launch. We're able to review a funnel that is a 6 or 7-figure funnel. So my time, I believe, can go up. But with that, it does still, in some ways, resemble a job rather than this creative outlet. I'm curious. I believe that when we started working together and kind of both embodied this let's work smarter, not harder mentality, I believe that we did have a big shift, even around my mindset of what could be. And it's funny because now, for everyone who's listening, I do still always try and put Zoom calls on the calendar. Team calls. Hey, let's do a kickoff call. Hey, let's do a review. Hey,
no,
think we should have a 30-day review with that person.
Do you want to know something that's so funny? So Willow every other day prompts a meeting with the team. And now the team members know.
Certain ones, leadership level.
Know to message me
and
individually and say, hey, just want to let you know. Willow did, in fact, try and put this meeting on the calendar.
Specifically on your calendar.
Do you want this? And I always say, no. Tell him to fuck off. Every single time.
Why is that so real?
So guess how many calls Willow has scheduled? And also, if he does schedule them, guess who hits that decline so fucking fast?
Or is always late. You're always late to the calls that I put on.
Because I don't want to go. I don't Zoom.
So do you feel...
like you don't remote?
What does that mean?
We have this thing. Do you have that thing in your life that you just can't get yourself there? You know how fucking easy it is and simple, and you see other people doing it. For example, if we sit down to watch a show, Willow cannot fucking use the remote to turn on a TV show.
I'm always just tossing it over.
It is crazy. I'll watch him, and I don't think Willow has put on anything on the TV in probably 4 years. And so now we have this running joke that he says, I just don't remote. I don't remote well.
No, literally. I think you went out of town for a week last week. I don't even think I turned the TV on.
He looks at the remote and I think the buttons, he sees them like moving and starting to try and attack him. I don't know what happens. He doesn't remote. That is how I feel. I don't Zoom.
When I sit down, like so let's say Becca's out of town and I sit down on the couch, I'm like, sick. I'm going to have a raw day. I grab the remote and I look at it. And this is like a smart TV remote. This is not like an old on-demand remote.
There's literally an orange button that says Netflix on it. You have to click it and then use the arrows.
I typically do. I click it and I go to Netflix and I look at it and I'm like, this all looks like bullshit. And then I probably go grab my freaking leaf blower and a ladder and start just doing something.
You're like, fuck it, where are my overalls? I'm
going out and I'm doing something because this doesn't feel great. And I want to go do something that feels great. I want to see some progress.
It's because you don't have shows that you are like attached to.
It is. I'm curious. This is such a side quest. Do you feel like you could have a rot day without your phone and your laptop?
Oh gosh.
Or do you feel like that? Like, because when we even talk about it, it feels like your rot day. It's like this like weird half rot day because it also is more productive than most people's regular day. Even mine. I'm being 100% honest.
Or like a week.
Maybe a month.
For you, yeah.
Low-key. Do you feel like you could tomorrow, like we've had such a busy week. Tomorrow is a Saturday. We launched multiple things. Shout out me. The podcast is trending right now. It's been a good week. Yeah. Tomorrow is a Saturday.
Definitely
not.
We
have no plans.
No.
I don't think you could either.
Well, I wouldn't call it a rot day. A rot day to me, I know it's actually like a very structured, repeatable rot day.
Okay.
Like my rot days, I have them down.
Do they go on the calendar, like proactively?
No, because then I wouldn't do it because I rebel.
See, I
anything
think
that goes on my calendar.
Maybe we should start putting more of them on the calendar.
No, please don't ruin my rot days for me. But my rot day means that I am sleeping in, no alarm clock.
Okay.
I normally am not an alarm clock person, but in the last like 6 months, I have tried.
Probably getting a quick complaining session in that I accidentally woke you up.
What?
On your rot day without your alarm.
Oh yeah, and it was really, really bad for us. We weren't happy. So no alarm.
Okay.
You wake up. I drink coffee in bed.
Okay.
I do have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I immediately get back into bed. And then for the remainder of the day, I do not get up until 6 p.m.
Okay.
Except for the delivery of my DoorDash and to go pee.
Okay.
I do not, and it's like I am like fucking committed to the bed. I'm committed to the rot day.
It's more commitment than I have,
and
I feel like, on a lot of things.
if my laptop dies and I roll over and my laptop charger is not plugged into the wall, I'm a fucking demon. And I have to get up and I'm like looking around the house trying to find it. Like if I can just get up out of bed to get DoorDash and to go pee all day, like blood clot worry kind of day. Like I do not move. That is like the perfect rot day to me.
Okay. How often are we having these?
Like once a month.
Okay.
Yeah. The day before I start my period.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So maybe it could go on the calendar with how routine this shit is.
Yeah. Well, I probably would rebel.
Okay. So to get back to the idea of men working harder, not smarter, that this is a common piece in a lot of relationships, including ours, even maybe to this day, I feel like we're uncovering that it's still there.
Okay.
I feel like it comes back to that if you can figure out a way to work smarter and not harder, it can kind of be both. You can have the hard work days, you can have the very chill days, but I'm going to bring it back to the one word that we disagreed at in the beginning.
Balance.
Balance. Because I think that you have mastered balance, weirdly. You work way more than I do, but you have mastered balance in some ways.
I don't think it's balance.
Okay.
I want to literally Google.
Fact check. Come on, chat. What does balance mean?
Google, what does balance mean?
Read it.
Balance is a noun.
Perfect.
An even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady, or a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions.
Okay.
Or as a verb, keep or put something in a steady position so that it does not fall, or offset or compare the value of one thing with another.
So I'm curious if you just look at that and you think about your opinion of balance, your definition, or for me, I'm thinking about a reframe. My big reframe here is that balance can look different for different people. Because if it's finding balance and it's having equal parts, your equal parts are very different than mine. And I believe that I am able to turn on, work really hard like I am on a 90-minute intensive, and then turn off. And you are more of a consistent burn of being on. But ultimately, if I were to be like, Becca, you don't have very good balance, you're not doing very well, you'd be like, actually, I completely disagree. I'm balanced as fuck. Where then you might say the same thing. And it, I think, actually does come back to what is the vision that you're working towards? Are you sacrificing your balance? And if it feels good to you and you feel balanced, great. In some ways, right?
Yeah, and I just think that you have to figure out what actually feels good for you. Because what feels good for me is not going to feel good. It doesn't even feel good for you.
Right.
And you're the closest person to me.
Right.
So there's, of course, going to be nuance of like what works for you does not work for everyone. And that's why I feel like even the whole, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. and do this, this, and that, and that. Like, who are you talking to? Because have you like read the room? Because guaranteed that's not good for everyone. And like, even just everyone is different, and the way that we're like chemically made up, even like hormonal, and even like women, like we're going into a phase of trying to get pregnant. And so I'm super cautious of my hormone level. And so I specifically don't do things that would like spike my cortisol and make me hormonally imbalanced. So literally your life of moving all the time, and like that would just not be good for me, of like the stress and just constantly like needing to be doing the next thing, where like I want to be more integrated, just like more like in flow of what I do. I guess it's actually, that's the word that would come to mind, that I feel like I crave over balance, because I feel like balance means that you have these two different things.
Yep.
It's like a pendulum where it's like you have your personal life here and you have your like business responsibilities here.
Okay.
And work-life balance is trying to just balance them so that one doesn't tip over. That's literally what I think balance means. Like if your personal tips over, then you're not taking care of your business needs. And if your business is here, then you're not taking care of your personal needs. What if you could bring them together and create flow between them?
Yeah. That's,
I think, what I feel I have stepped into.
Honestly, I agree.
I don't want work-life balance. I want flow.
Yeah.
I want them to be here together.
100%. I think flow is an interesting word to even use, because it, in my opinion, is much more vague, but also is descriptive completely of the same thing.
Yeah. It's like work-life flow. Fuck work-life balance. Work-life flow. Just trying to be in flow, bro.
I like that. I like that.
So stupid.
So for people who are listening,
yes,
especially for the couples who are listening that are like, fuck, my husband is totally like that. Always working, can't stop. And their definition of hard work is working more than anybody else. For people that are in that situation, that are trying to embrace the idea of both allowing yourself to have the balance, the flow, sometimes even the laziness, also having the really high productivity in building towards their vision that's probably bigger than a lot of the people around them. How would you give it some advice? How would you recommend people achieve that in their relationship, in their business?
Well, it's so cheesy to be like, well, communication is key. But I genuinely feel like communicating and like really being honest and open about actually what works for you.
Yeah.
And accepting that the other person isn't going to be the same as you.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a misconception that like if you create your life together, you have to be like on the same routine or like doing it the same way, or like if you're even like building something big together, that it has to be even like the way you see it. Well, it's hard. It's like the way you see it happening needs to be the same. Like your vision needs to be the same.
Yeah.
But how you achieve it can look really different. And I feel like honoring each other in that and figuring out like you might want work-life balance.
Yeah.
And that might work for you and your nervous system and your happiness.
I agree.
And I might be more in flow. And that is how we've led, where like I don't like give you pressure where at night if you clock off, or like you said, you're not going to check Slack for 3 hours. Like I accept that that's the way that you process information and the way that you want to lead your life. And also you don't give me shit that lies. You do give me shit that I'm always like in and out and on Slack and this and that. But for the most part, we do accept each other for how we want to live our life, how we want to integrate in our business into our life.
Yep.
And I think
I completely agree.
Yeah, having the open communication is like the most important thing.
I completely agree with that. And I think that one of the pieces that I hope that we can share actually with the people that are listening to this is that I feel like at the beginning of building business, when I've even said it this whole podcast, I'm like, it's just hard work. But when I think about balance at a higher level aptitude of business where we're at now, you're not just balancing hard work. You're also balancing pressure. You're balancing exposure. You're balancing people's opinions at a large scale. And it's really something to take into note if you're listening to this, to find what your flow is or what you can handle when it comes to balance. Because you, I believe, are able to handle the pressure of way more than I can. Like even just for example, we are in full launch mode this week. I am also in launch mode of something else. You have worked so hard on this launch. It's Friday. On Monday, we have another kickoff of a whole new project that's being launched. and are entertaining multiple offers. Like we're all over the place. And we're living in a second home where it's like
3 dogs.
3 dogs.
Really 4.
I got that dog in me, especially.
How did I
right
know
now.
you were going to say that?
You can't call me a dog and not think that I got that dog in me. But when we think about that, you know,
Okay.
Mike Sherm, he knew. Only fuck from the back like a real dog.
Okay.
Just kidding. But
this is why my sister couldn't see the podcast.
It was restricted. It was restricted
to children.
No, it's not.
No, it needs to be.
I'm gonna flip that
shit
switch.
is restricted to children. This is not appropriate.
But when we think about the balance, because you, I believe, balance more than I do. But like especially you have multiple You hold and balance.
I don't feel like
you're balancing. Right now on this chair, you are balanced.
No.
Think about it. You have 5 wheels under you that are equally balanced.
All in
and
flow.
It's not in flow. It's not moving.
Flow.
When we think about that and the amount of shit that you do hold and balance, you have 3 different social media channels that have hundreds of thousands of followers and millions of views every month, some of which are negative. You've mastered polarity. You've mastered having a really big team under you, really big launches that are always going on, and big spend, big everything.
Yeah.
You, I believe, as a woman, might even have an easier time doing that than I do. I don't know why, because I feel like
might?
But
you know that.
Because I see other guys doing it. I'm like, damn, do you have like the secret power wife sitting in the back too? Or like, what is going on?
Just everyone's different.
Yeah. And I think that's...
And everyone wants different things too.
Exactly.
Because like not everyone wants what I have. And that's that'd be weird. Like not everyone can have what everyone else has.
Yes.
And we're not all born the same way. We're not all wired the same way. We're not all raised the same way.
Yeah.
We're not all like craving the same thing. Like it's beautiful that we all want different things. And I feel like that's what makes the world go round, and that we can like collaborate and work with each other and inspire. But it's because we all want something different. Like success looks different.
Yes.
Even to you, our vision looks the same, but like actually
what it is
different.
Yep.
And we're human.
Yep.
Like it'd be weird if it was all the same.
So to round all of this out, balance,
is
AKA flow.
No, but it's not AKA, it's different.
It's just different. But balance
You're so annoying.
Balance is individual to everyone. There's not a black and white, oh, this is how you balance things.
Yeah.
Anything else that we can leave the listeners with today on how to integrate this into their relationship if the guy is working hard and not working smart? One last tip of how to work smarter and not harder.
I mean, tough love, but I would say tell your husband that he's an idiot and that he needs to work less and probably go to therapy and redefine his relationship with money. And that he doesn't have to work as hard and that he can occasionally have a rot day with you and get sushi DoorDashed and have a glass of wine and make more money than ever thought before.
All right. Well, thank you. I actually really like this format of the more casual podcast because a lot of my pods, a lot of the interviews so far have been much more structured and much more like hitting the questions that I want to ask and that I think that people are going to want to hear. And I really like also just opening the floor to a more organic conversation, especially trying to instill what we have learned, because I think from Instagram as a highlight reel, it's like, damn, Becca and Willow have it completely figured out. And in actuality,
we're still figuring it out.
We're still fucking figuring it out. And these conversations about what does balance look like and am I burnt out or am I in flow or whatever, it still happens every day. And I don't think that I actually feel like right now, I confidently can say I don't even feel like me and you are anywhere close to even really figuring it out.
Or having it figured out. We should do, if you want to have me, if you would give me the honor of being back on this podcast at some point, we should do an episode on what we're still figuring out.
Yeah, if you want to send me your EA's email, I'll send her an invoice for a guest fee.
My people, I'll send my people to you people.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, peace out, dude.
Peace out, Cub Scout. Thank you. That's it for today's episode of the Profitable Husband Podcast. If you're ready to step up, support your wife, and build real wealth together, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. For more strategies on business, marketing, and becoming the strongest leader in your household, follow me on Instagram at WillowKai. And if today's episode hit home, share it with another man who needs to hear this. We're building a movement one profitable husband at a time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next episode.